a country where we had quite a significant presence, but also quite a significant ambition to grow our audience and our reach and penetration and so on. And the third sort of determining factor was, can that story in that country or that region have a sort of a chat app that's very big that we can actually play around with and see if we can combine those three factors. And luckily enough, the Indian elections happened in April and May last year, and it worked really well in terms of timing, because here was a country where, biggest democratic vote in history, pretty big story. We had a very big team across India and also centered around our Delhi bureau. So we knew that there would be a lot of content that BBC News was going to be producing in English and in Hindi and other vernacular languages as well. And anecdotally at that time, we knew that WhatsApp was very big in India, and that was just mainly because so many of my friends and family were on WhatsApp, and just generally, just anecdotally, we just got a sense that lots of people were on WhatsApp. And a few months later, actually, that was verified, because WhatsApp did reveal that India is the single biggest country of WhatsApp users. So I think now WhatsApp has over 700 million users globally, and India has 70 million alone, so 10% of WhatsApp share is in India itself. So what we decided to do was, as an experiment, launch a BBC India account inside WhatsApp and another chat app which we were really interested in called WeChat. WeChat is primarily very big in China, but it is now growing quite quickly outside China, but they've done a lot of marketing in India and are looking to grow in the West as well. And we decided to launch these two accounts in Hindi and in English, just so that we can try and experiment with the different types of audiences and whether one type of audience was more effective or more interested in our content than the other. So I want to go through what we did with WeChat first of all. WeChat was probably the much sort of slicker user interface that we had of the two that we tried out. Inside the app, it's quite easy to just set up a sort of a brand presence or account, which users can then just subscribe to by just finding the user ID. And on the left-hand side is an example of the sort of the daily push alert that we would send out. And so in this case, it would be sort of a series of bundled headlines, and then each of those segments that you see there on the left, users could then tap on their phone, and that would take them to our online story. And so it was quite a clean way of potentially referring people back to our own mobile site from inside WeChat. And also people were able to then share that content with all their friends inside WeChat as well. And just an example of what you did, like say we tapped on that top story there with Rahul Gandhi, you get this interstitial screen that follows, which is just the first 2-3 paragraphs of that story, and then you can click further and actually takes you to our main mobile site. The other thing that was really useful as a feature is that along the bottom you can see that we had 3 tabs on the account, which were basically powered by our RSS feeds from our main news website. And so the additional value for WeChat users of our account was that in addition to getting that daily push alert straight onto their phone, if they went to our own home account, they would be able to just tap on the various different indexes and then be returned the latest stories inside the app. And again, if they then tap on any of those stories, it would take them to the relevant story on our mobile site. And this is the example of the sort of the back-end administration tool of what WeChat provides. So it was relatively easy to then create content, manage the content, and publish it out through this desktop publishing dashboard, which gave us some very basic tools in terms of measurement and so on as well. WhatsApp was a very, very different challenge. WhatsApp doesn't have a desktop dashboard or publishing tool or CMS. So at the time, it was all managed through a single mobile phone handset. And so the way we did it was just in this normal way that you set up a WhatsApp account. We created an account. We then promoted that mobile number to our audiences through online social media, through our TV and online radio presence, and invited users to send a subscribe or join message to that number to us inside WhatsApp. And then every time we got that message coming in, we would then add them manually, one by one, onto our phone's contacts. So as you can imagine, I spent many happy hours in the Delhi hotel room just going add contact, repeatedly for 6 weeks. So it's not something I would recommend to anyone to do beyond just experimentation. And I'll talk a bit later about why we're not going to replicate this sort of new service on WhatsApp in the future, but it gave us very useful sort of lessons to learn, which we're going to use in sort of different ways in terms of our editorial products.